All right, let's talk about AI. Right now, we're in the middle of this huge, high-stakes tug of war. You've got one team pulling with all their might for bigger, faster, more powerful AI, just pure scale. And on the other side, you've got this growing chorus of people pulling just as hard for safety, for control, and for, trust.
Okay, and to kick things off, get this. Things are getting, well, kind of weird. We are hearing that Meta, yeah, the company that runs Facebook and Instagram, is actually in talks to use Google's Gemini AI for its advertising. Now think about that for a second. These are arch rivals. This isn't just some run-of-the-mill business deal. It's a huge sign that the AI arms race is so intense, it's completely rewriting the rulebook. The need for scale is just so massive that even the biggest competitors are thinking, hey, maybe we need to team up just to keep up.
And that really brings us to the core question we're going to tackle today. In this absolute mad dash for AI dominance, with companies building systems that have these almost godlike ambitions, are there any rules left? Seriously, is anyone actually writing a rule book, or are we all just building as fast as humanly possible and, crossing our fingers?
So, here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at the great AI build-out, just the mind-boggling scale of it all. Then, we'll switch gears and talk about the search for AI guardrails. After that, we'll see how this all comes together in the real world with agents and automation. And finally, we'll hit the trillion-dollar question. What's really going on with all this money? All right, let's dive into our first section, the great AI build-out. And honestly, if there's one word to remember here, it's scale. We're talking about an explosion in money, in infrastructure, and just raw ambition that is, well, it's unlike anything we've ever seen.
And this slide right here perfectly captures the shift that's happening. You've got upstarts like Perplexity who aren't just trying to make a slightly better Google for us humans. No, they're building a completely new foundation for the internet's information, a new index built from the ground up for AI. It's made for large language models, the brains behind things like ChatGPT. It's way faster, it's more detailed, and it's basically designed for a world where AI is doing the searching. This is a direct shot at Google's biggest strength, its data. And this new approach, it's attracting some serious cash. That startup, Perplexity, is already valued at a whopping $20 billion, just for building this new data layer for AI. That's incredible. But okay, $20 billion is a lot. But to really see where the power is, you gotta follow the money. And that leads us to this number, over $130 billion. That's NVIDIA's revenue. And if you don't know, they're the ones making the specialized computer chips, the GPUs, that are the absolute engine of this whole AI revolution. They're selling the picks and shovels in a digital gold rush. So when you put it all together, the startups like Perplexity, the chip giants like NVIDIA, all the new data centers, the total projected spending on AI infrastructure by 2030 is, well, it's a staggering $3 to $4 trillion. Let that sink in. This isn't just another tech boom. We are literally witnessing one of the biggest shifts of capital in the history of economics. So why? Why are we spending all this money? Well, you just have to look at the ambitions of people like Sam Altman at OpenAI. We're not talking about making slightly better chatbots here. No, the goals are almost unbelievable. We're talking about using all this computing power to cure cancer, to achieve artificial general intelligence, AGI, that's smarter than humans by 2030. They're even talking about testing for it by throwing problems like quantum gravity at the AI. The ambition here is just as massive as the spending. Okay, but all of that godlike ambition, it naturally creates an equal and opposite reaction, right? And that reaction is this urgent, almost desperate search for safety, for guardrails, for a way to make sure we can actually control these incredibly powerful systems we're building. And the first line of defense here is technical. See, as AI goes from just answering our questions to actually doing things for us, we call that agentic AI, a whole new safety stack is popping up. You can think of it like the HR and security department for these new AI workers. You've got companies like Delinea giving them secure credentials, kind of like a key card. Then there's Abot AI, which is like a central dashboard for managing your whole AI team. And then you have autonomy, which adds a governance layer. Think of it as a security camera system so you can always see and control what your AI agents are up to.
But this push for control isn't just happening in the tech world. It's going global. The United Nations is now stepping in, trying to create some kind of global framework for AI governance. And their goals are pretty clear. They want to make sure this tech helps everyone, not just rich countries. They want to include the global south in the conversation. And maybe most important, they want to establish what they call AI red lines. Basically, drawing a line in the sand and saying there are some things we, as a species, will just never let AI do.
So you might be asking, why does a company like NVIDIA, the one making a fortune selling all the hardware, care so much about safety? Well, this quote from one of their VPs pretty much sums it up. The biggest thing holding back AI adoption isn't the tech, it's trust. People are still wary. And that's exactly why they just open-sourced a bunch of their models. The thinking is pretty straightforward. If you can look under the hood and see how it works, you're a lot more likely to trust it and, buy more of their stuff.
All right, so let's get into our next section and see where this epic battle between pure power and careful control actually hits the ground. We're talking about the real-world tools, the robots, and the automated systems that are already changing, well, everything.
Let's start with robots. Google's new stuff is a massive leap. I mean, think about the difference. It used to be a robot would just follow a path you programmed for it. That's it. But now we've got robots that can actually plan what they're going to do, that can reason about the physical world, and, get this, can even use Google's search to figure out how to do something new. We're moving from just doing to actual problem solving. And this same kind of shift is happening in how we write software. There's this new term floating around, and I kind of love it. Vibe coding. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's this wild new way of working where a developer can just describe the vibe of an app they want in plain English. Something like, hey, I need a simple to-do list app, make it look clean and modern. And an AI assistant just generates the code. You can go from an idea to a working prototype in literally minutes. But, of course, here's that big tension again. The pros are obvious, right? You can build stuff insanely fast, and it makes it easier for more people to get into coding. But the risks are just as real. You could have major security gaps you don't even know about, the code can be a total nightmare to fix when something goes wrong, and you always have to worry about the AI just hallucinating and making stuff up. It is the perfect example of speed versus safety, playing out right there on a coder's laptop.
And lest you think this is all just theory or for startups, this is happening in the real world right now. A company called Traba is using voice AI from 11 Labs to automate job interviews. We're talking about 250,000 interviews handled by an AI. That saves them over 4,000 hours of human work every single month. This is automation on a massive scale, taking over tasks that we always thought had to be done by a person. All right, which brings us to our final section, and it's all about the money. We've talked about trillions of dollars being spent, so now we have to ask the big question. Is this a truly sustainable revolution, or is this just another massive bubble that's about to pop?
I mean, just look at this chart. This shows you the scale of the financial bet that's being made here. We're talking about the spending on just the infrastructure. The data centers, the chips, all of it. It's projected to jump from $600 billion in 2025 to $3.5 trillion by 2030. That isn't just growth. That is a nearly vertical line on a graph.
But not everyone is popping the champagne. You have prominent investors like David Einhorn who are sounding the alarm. He's warning that this spending spree could lead to tremendous capital destruction. And his point is really interesting. He's basically saying that even if AI turns out to be everything we hope it will be, the race to win is so ridiculously expensive that companies might just burn through all their cash trying to get there. It's a classic boom and bust cycle where even the winners end up losing money.
And so that leaves us with one final, huge question. It's really less about technology and more about us, about our priorities. As we stand here right at this incredible turning point, what do we choose? Do we go for breakneck speed, just full throttle ahead and hope we can clean up the mess later? Or do we find the discipline to build the safety features first, even if that means the next big breakthrough takes a little bit longer? The answer to that question is going to define a lot more than just the tech industry. It's going to define the world we're all building.